Before we start this video, we just want to make it perfectly clear that regardless of how you feel about the game, everyone is entitled to their own opinion. You're not wrong for liking the game, and you're not wrong for disliking it either, because in the end, games are subjective. But the reason we're making this video is because at least I'm asked quite a bit, what do I think about the Origami King, and am I getting it? And I thought it'd be a good idea to bring someone else into the conversation, simply so you guys can hear more opinions besides just mine.
Yeah, I'm not as huge of a Paper Mario fan as you are. I am familiar with the series. But I think what's interesting is that you and I do share similar opinions on the game itself, despite me not being as much of a fan.
Yeah, exactly. And that's interesting too because I had you do a Pokemon discussion one time, and originally you didn't, or you're not really into Pokemon like I am, but it's good having
Yeah,
your input on it because you can understand what's going on, you understand what the games are all about, and it's also good getting another opinion. So going into this,
yeah,
originally when Paper Mario: The Origami King was revealed, which was actually not too long ago, it was like 2 months ago, the trailer was super
yeah,
vague, and we did a discussion about that, and essentially our opinions were we can't really have an opinion, everything's just so vague. But we knew something was a little bit fishy going on with the game. Because usually if
yeah.
Nintendo has a trailer for something, they're gonna announce sometimes way too much. Like with Super Mario
Hmm.
Odyssey, for example, they announced that it was going to be an open world 3D Mario game from the start. You knew that. That's what the first trailer's message was. And yeah, there was a
Right.
Cappy thing, and that was kind of left out with the whole capturing mechanic, but that's just one
Hmm.
mechanic of a game. It's not like not revealing the battle system, which you'll be doing constantly, or not revealing what partners do, because those two things were the main complaints people had with the past two Paper Mario games. And I'll get into my history with the
Yeah.
Paper Mario series a little bit. I'll let you get into yours after. But
Hmm.
started off with Super Paper Mario. Didn't play much of it, probably just because I got sidetracked by other games, but I enjoyed it. Then I played Sticker Star in depth. I really wanted to like the game. I liked collecting stickers. I liked using them. But the game design was just an absolute mess. It was so cryptic. The battle system was pointless. And then I got into the Thousand Year Door. What can really be said about it that hasn't been said? So much creativity, battle system's great, story is cool. It's a phenomenal game, and I understand completely why it gets the praise it does. Then eventually I did get Color Splash only because it was on sale when Walmart was clearing out Wii U inventory, and I heard good things about it, but man, I could not get into that game. It was way too much like Sticker Star. It was an improvement in a few ways, but really anything would be. And essentially, that's my
Yeah.
history with the Paper Mario series. I like the Thousand Year Door and Super Paper Mario. Haven't played 64. I hate Sticker Star. I dislike Color Splash. So I think it's reasonable to see why I was concerned for the Origami King, because after Color Splash, you really want nothing to do with that game. And I started to see a lot of similarities even in the first trailer. So I'll let you get into your history with Paper Mario and how you kind of feel about the series direction.
Well, like you, I started with Super Paper Mario for the Wii. I thought it was okay. I did like the story a lot. I just wasn't really I wasn't a fan of the 2D to 3D gameplay. I guess because I kept getting stuck in one area. Anyways, that gathered a little bit of dust on my shelf for a little bit. And then we go on to Sticker Star, which I was actually really excited to get. Um, and it was one of the worst Mario games I've ever played. It was just really, really bad. I mean, the sticker mechanic is just really unintuitive, in my opinion. There's really no reward for really choosing a sticker. It's just kind of like collect them on the overworld and just use them in battle.
And
It's
battles are
just it.
pointless.
Yeah, battles become pointless. I found it a little odd that there were like real life objects in as like enemies or like items, because I always thought that the Paper Mario series was kind of like a pop-up storybook,
I mean, it
which is why
was.
like Yeah, which is why in Japan, correct me if I'm wrong, was it not called Mario Story for the N64 version?
I think it was called Mario Story for the N64 and Mario Story for the GameCube. So yeah, you got that
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So it essentially the art style is to mimic the idea that it's like a pop-up storybook. I'm not sure. I mean, the arts and crafts stuff was new at the time, but now it's just getting tired and old, and it's just kind of losing the identity of what Paper Mario used to be, which was, yeah, it had the same aesthetic, but it was more for like it was more to show like this is kind of like being told from the perspective of like a storybook. This is an RPG, this isn't very gimmicky. It's just a certain art style. Anyways,
Exactly.
you told me not to get Color Splash. Good thing I listened because I heard that was garbage from a lot of people. I
Paper
only have
Mario
one
Color
friend.
Splash. More like Paper Mario belongs in the trash.
I mean, I heard from one of my friends that they liked it, but they admitted that they're in the minority there. Um, and then with Origami King, uh, it was really confusing. And I thought something was fishy because they kept hiding the battle system from us. Not necessarily the battle system, but kind of like how it works. Because we were both speculating, does it have experience points? Are those stickers from Sticker Star that you use, or are they just like normal items that you use? You know, we had a whole bunch of questions, and we didn't really want to speculate too much on it because we didn't really know how to feel.
Yeah, exactly. But I think now's our good time to give our opinions on it because there's already so much information out there about the game. Nintendo had the Treehouse
Right.
Live thing, where they also revealed a
God,
Bakugan game, which
that whole
Nintendo,
thing was
as
cringy. Yeah.
Miyamoto says, please do not do that. I don't know why companies keep on hyping people up for things that aren't actually what they want. A Bakugan
I
game is
don't
fine,
know.
but they said, hey, it's a game developed by Way Forward, making it seem like it'd be a first party game. Like, oh my gosh, is this Wario Land or Metroid? No, it's
Yeah.
Bakugan. Did anyone learn
Well,
from Diablo
yeah.
Immortal or Pokemon Unite?
To be fair, they did say last night that it was third party. But even then, people were kind of speculating maybe it's a Ninja Gaiden, maybe it's Castlevania. Nope, Bakugan. Something that people have wanted. And to top that off, before we move on from this, I'm sorry, man, but that Treehouse Live was cringy. I had to like tune in and out because I don't know. The moderators just were too much for me. And I think you and I have similar complaints with the Treehouse Lives during E3 the past few years.
Yeah, it was kind of cringy, but I'm not mad about a Bakugan game because I think it was just poor timing. That's all it was because the game could be good. There's nothing inherently wrong with it. But before this becomes a podcast on
Yeah.
Bakugan and then we get into other trends from the 2010s, let's discuss
That
the
could be another
Origami King.
podcast.
All right,
Yeah.
trends from 2010s. We want to come back. What's next? Treehouse Live. We get a new Silly Bands game, or wait, better yet, Angry Birds trilogy on the Switch.
I hope not. I really hope not.
But yeah.
But yeah, yeah.
So the good news is it's not all doom and gloom for the game because the game does have some positives. So the game does have an interesting story. It's not the usual Bowser bad, defeat Bowser.
Mhm,
No, you actually have kind of a dark story where
mhm,
King Ollie is turning everyone into origami and taking over the Mushroom Kingdom, and it's up to
mhm.
Mario to team up with the bad guys to stop him. That's a really cool concept right there, and I really like it. And another thing
Yeah,
is, Paper Mario games, not all of them are known for their stories, especially the more recent ones. But even taking this step, I think it's a great thing and a huge improvement.
mm. Yeah. I think definitely the story concept itself is really intriguing compared to the last two games. Um, do I think it could be as in depth as say Super Paper Mario or the other two Paper Mario games? I don't think so, but it's a step in the right direction in terms of what people have been asking for story wise, because
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think people were complaining too much about the dialogue in Color Splash. It just didn't really seem like too much was going on.
It just really depends how far they take it, because if it's just a crutch for a narrative, then that's not good. But so far,
Right.
things are looking pretty good with the story. So I got no
Yeah.
complaints there. I just hope they take full advantage of it. Another thing is that
Mhm.
the music in this game is great. Music is very nice to listen to. It's not the jazz thing that Nintendo used to have back in the mid 2010s, like they had in
Mhm.
Mario Kart 8 and Mario or Paper Mario Color Splash. The music
Right.
is good. It always has been good in Paper Mario. So I kind of
Yeah.
expected that, and I like what they're going for. And I know this might be a little bit controversial, but I do like the papercraft aesthetic. There
Mhm.
is one paper thing I don't like, but what I'm talking about is a general art style where everything looks like it were crafted out of paper. That looks very nice, and it was in Color Splash too, so it looks nice here. Only complaint I have with the general art style is the white outline around the characters. It makes them look like stickers and it looks stupid. But other than
Mhm.
that, everything looks good.
I'm more of a fan of like these storybook pop-up style that they had in the older games. Um, this one is like more arts and craft, which is fine. I kind of wish, like, looking at Bug Fables as well. I know it's not like as polished as say a Nintendo game would look, but man, it would have been really cool if we saw Nintendo return back to something like that aesthetically. But it's fine for what it is.
Yeah, and I like both styles. I think the pop-up style and the papercraft style look good, but still looks great here. And I like a lot of
Yeah.
the environments, especially the Arabian-inspired one. So that's very
Mm,
cool right there.
right.
But overall, I would say Paper Mario the Origami King has a lot going for it in these departments. The
Hmm.
story looks interesting, dialogue's probably going to be good again, has great music, and it looks great. But everything starts to fall apart when you get to the biggest aspect of the gameplay, and
Right.
everything I feared and more is going to be in Paper Mario the Origami King. So let's just get rid of the elephant in the room, the battle system. There was a
Yep.
reason Nintendo was hiding this, and that's because it's going to be pointless once again. The basic mechanic of experience is not in this game. And I know people say,
Mm,
but coins and confetti. Here's the problem. You get coins and confetti to get upgrades to your weapons. There are no cards or stickers this time, thank God. But does that make it good? Not really. Then once you get those coins to upgrade your weapons, you battle to get more coins for more confetti, and you can find those in the overworld. And it's just a never-ending cycle, and it becomes pointless. I get it. Nintendo wants their games to
mm.
be accessible, but this makes the game broken. If there's no point to battle, what kind of game design is that?
Yeah, I mean, I actually read an interview, I think that you were showing me with Mr. Iwata, rest his soul, when he was talking to Kensuke Tanabe, who's the producer of the Paper Mario games. Um, and Tanabe's been wanting to separate the Paper Mario series from its RPG roots for a while now. So, to be honest, I don't know. I'm we shouldn't have been surprised that this game didn't have any RPG mechanics really. Um, I would say the battle system is more puzzle oriented, but I've even heard that you could run out of battles and really just play the game without battling,
Yeah,
uh,
exactly.
which is so bizarre for a game that's kind of focused on that. I mean,
It'd be
I
like
guess
being. Yeah,
it's not an RPG anymore, but if you're gonna make it more of a puzzle action game, then don't include like little elements like that. Don't lead people on, you know?
exactly. And here's the thing. With this, it'd be like if you were playing New Super Mario Brothers or something, and you could just run through enemies. They'd never hurt you. Would you be incentivized to jump on them? No, you wouldn't, because you can just run through them. That's how big of a problem it is. It removes the fun aspect of the game. And not to mention, this isn't the only problem with the battle system. Let's take a look at what you actually have to do here. You gotta rotate the enemies, line them up, then choose your attack, then jump on them. At first
Mhm.
glance, it sounds fine. But then you realize that unless you're running away from all the enemies, you're gonna have to do this multiple times. And the biggest problem Color Splash had was its tedious battle system. Because
Yeah.
in the first two Paper Mario games, you just selected your attack or could select an item, just select whatever move you were gonna use, and then go. That's it. Then in even
Yeah.
Sticker Star, one of the worst Mario games, that battle system worked fine. Go through your stickers, choose your attack, done. You don't have to go through a bunch of crap before you get into battling, and this is going to make it really annoying, I guarantee that.
Yeah, it seems to me, honestly, the battle system looks like it's going to get tedious. And I'll be honest, man, the overworld looks boring. I don't know if it's just me, but it just, I don't know. I just wasn't really interested in the worlds, and I think part of that is because it's a little generic. You know,
Yeah.
it reminds me of 2010's Mario with New Super Mario Brothers and the 3D World stuff.
You
Where
mean
they kept
3D
trying to,
Land?
yeah. Well, 3D World had shades of it too, but um, typical grasslands and stuff like that. Like I get that there's other areas too, but I don't know. It just kind of feels like they're trying to homogenize Paper Mario into just another generic Mario brand. It doesn't really have the identity it had before,
Yeah,
um,
exactly.
which is which is a shame because looking at Thousand Year Door just from even just from gameplay videos or just like box art, it has way more character than the new games have.
Exactly. That's why people liked it so much, because not only was the gameplay better, but there was way more creativity. You had all kinds of different characters, and even the existing Mario characters, they put different spins on them. I'll give you some examples. There's a Koopa who is cowardly. His name's Koops, I believe. And then
Hmm.
there's Goombella, who's a Goomba archaeologist. And then you
Right.
got all kinds of different characters. But
It just kind of
here,
it's
what do we
to
have?
me, yeah.
Just a Babam named Bobby? Oh, cool, he can have a name, but he doesn't have an original design. And this gets us into the other thing. Nintendo
Mm,
tried to say we got partners back, but essentially, from what I've seen, this is like saying Mario Tennis's adventure mode is like how it was in the Game Boy Color and Game Boy Advance versions of Mario Tennis. It is not the same thing.
haha,
It's not what fans wanted. Yeah, that's one of my least
yeah.
favorite Switch games. I hate Mario Tennis Aces. But the partners here,
I mean, hmm,
so I know you haven't played the first two games, but essentially how the
yeah.
partners work is you partner up with them and they can do stuff in the overworld and they can have different moves while battling. For example,
Mm,
you can use Koops in his Koopa shell to hit switches and stuff. And then
yeah.
you could have a character like the baby Yoshi to get across gaps. And they also had their different moves. So if you need help with a spiked enemy, you could use baby Yoshi. Or if you want to clear out a
S-
line of enemies, you could use
mhm.
Koops. But here, it does give you an extra attack when you use a partner, but it looks automated, so it's essentially if Mario could jump or use a hammer again. That's really it. And the partners, from what I've seen, don't have any overworld abilities, which is really disappointing. But even if they had all these things that made partners great, they're so generic in design. Teaming up with Kamek and Bowser Jr. is one thing, but for a Babam to look that boring, I don't care what his personality's like. There's character design in the game. There are
It
Angel
kind of,
Toads. There
yeah.
are Koopa Guardians. Why couldn't they have those for the partners? I'll never understand that.
It kind of just feels like, um, I think you and I both agree that in a lot of aspects, Nintendo is very tone deaf. And it's not just with Paper Mario. But this game just kind of feels like a game of compromises. It feels like the developers were developing a sequel to Color Splash, and Nintendo walked in and said, "You got to add partners and some of the stuff that the fans want." And they're like, "Well, all we can really do is give them these generic enemies as partners. Does that count?" Uh, uh? I don't know. It boggles my mind that, look, you can experiment with the franchise and see how it goes, right? Sticker Star didn't work. Color Splash, you tried to fix what you had, but that didn't work either. In fact, I don't even think that game sold particularly well. Um, I don't know why they felt the need to expand upon that formula if they obviously see that it's not working.
So going,
To a majority of fans. I
yeah,
know there's some fans that like it, and that's fine, but just from a sales aspect, it doesn't make sense why they were keep going with this idea.
Sticker Star sold well, that's why. But they
Well, I'm
haven't
talking about
given,
Color Splash.
yeah, Color Splash failed miserably. I don't think they even released a sales number for that game, which is so confusing. Why would they make a sequel for one of the most hated games and something that flopped? And yeah, I
That's what
know
I'm
there are people who
saying.
liked it, but a lot of people either didn't like it, and those people who did like it would rather have something like the first two games. This isn't a
Yeah.
nostalgia bias, it's just wanting a game that's good again, something great. Paper Mario and Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door and even Super Paper Mario were fantastic games. And to take something fantastic and just make it okay at the very best is still a
Mhm.
terrible thing. And
It's
going on
mhm.
to a little bit about the game, this could have the potential to be good. If it was more of a platformer with RPG elements like Super Paper Mario, I think we'd be onto something. But it's when they add things like turn-based battles that are pointless to make it seem like an RPG, that's
Mhm.
when the game starts to really get confusing.
Mhm. It kind of feels artificial in a way because it's like you feel like you're in an RPG battle, but you don't get the perks of doing an RPG battle, really. You don't get any experience points to level up your character. You don't really have partners at your disposal per se in battles. You have this weird kind of shifting mechanic that's a little bit more puzzle oriented, you know,
Yeah,
when an RPG is supposed to be a little bit more strategic. And I get it, puzzle falls into that as well, but it kind of just feels like the majority of you battling in the battle system is just you trying to figure out where Mario's going to go and how you're going to stack up the enemies. I don't. It doesn't really seem as in depth as the other games were, and that would be fine if it wasn't trying to latch on to these RPG ideas for a game that clearly doesn't want to be an RPG. Um,
exactly.
if it doesn't want to be an RPG, fine, but run with it. Don't it aggravates me mainly just because it seems like they're stuck between two ideas when they should just stick to one. You
Super
know,
Paper
regard.
Mario, that game
Hmm.
was a platformer more than an RPG, but it still had the RPG elements. And if they want
Right,
stuff like an interesting story and characters, that's fine, go for it. I mean, there aren't too many interesting characters in this game, but at least the story's cool. And if they
right.
want to make it a platformer, then do it. Super Paper Mario didn't have turn-based battles, but it didn't need to because it wasn't an RPG. This clearly isn't an RPG either, and I think the turn-based battles really hurt the game more than anything. And battles are pointless, so yet again, Sticker Star, Color Splash, and now the Origami King failed to fix the biggest issue with those games. I don't understand. Nintendo has been
Yeah.
great when it comes to listening to fan feedback. Let's take a look at one of the earliest Switch releases, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. People didn't like the battle mode in Mario Kart 8. They immediately fixed it and gave us one of the best battle modes in Mario Kart, Super Mario Odyssey. Fans wanted a 3D sandbox Mario for the longest? That's exactly what we got. Smash
I'd even.
Bros.
Yeah.
has some of the most requested characters in history from K. Rool, Banjo, Ridley, so many characters people have wanted for years. Then we get
Yeah.
Luigi's Mansion 3. Takes the aspects of Luigi's Mansion on the GameCube and Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, takes the best of them, merges them into one, and expands on it. Great game. But Paper Mario? Okay, we'll do like 1% of you want, but it has to be compromised. You can have partners, but oh, and this is another thing I have to mention. The partners actually leave you. So they're not permanent like they are in the Thousand Year Door. They actually leave you.
Oh.
So that's another
So
thing.
yeah, that doesn't make any sense. It's just that kind of just feels like they're pandering to nostalgia because
It's
it's
not
like, oh,
nostalgia. Here's the thing
well,
with
it
the
is,
partners.
but the thing is, people remember partners from the old Paper Mario games, right?
I would
It,
say
it
pandering to nostalgia is having a bunch of 8-bit Marios. This isn't pandering
okay,
to
but
nostalgia, meaning that here's what they're doing. The partners are what people really wanted because they were creative, they gave you more exploration elements, and overall, there was a lot you could do with them. They had different
Mhm.
mechanics in battle, they had different personalities, and they were cool. It's not nostalgia, it was just a great mechanic. But
No, I get that, but I'm saying that's what Nintendo sees it as based on what I'm seeing in this gameplay.
so
I'm
it's like
not
a silly
saying
reference.
yeah, I'm not saying that the idea of partners is the nostalgia factor that people want it for. I'm just saying Nintendo's using it to get people to be interested in it again because I did see people were getting excited that quote unquote partners are back, right? That's how Nintendo gets you to
Yeah,
get
exactly.
interested in the game. That's why I'm saying nostalgia pandering in a way, because they know that we want that from back in the day. But it's not exactly what we wanted.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the story mode from Aces all over again.
Exactly.
So let's go over some of the game. We talked about how there are some good aspects of it, but that's mainly towards things that aren't really part of the gameplay. The battle system is easily going to be the worst aspect of the game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Everything is super generic. That's another problem I have. I mean, some locations are pretty cool, and some enemies and characters have different designs, but oh my gosh, would it kill them to use anything from Odyssey or games besides New Super Mario Bros? Like literally,
Oh,
if I want to play generic Mario, I just boot up New Super Mario Bros. And call it a day. Not New Super Mario Bros. Specifically, New Super Mario Bros. U or New Super
right.
Mario Bros. 2 for the vanilla Mario experience. But Paper
Yeah.
Mario is supposed to be different. That's why the game exists because why would you essentially need New Super Mario Bros. RPG?
What hurt me the most was during the live stream when, oh, actually, it wasn't even the live stream. I think it was a Nintendo Minute video where one of the people were saying, what I love about Paper Mario is how it fleshes out Mario's world that we don't really get to see in the mainline games. And I was kind of thinking to myself, that's a little ironic because we're in Peach's castle once again. you know? So it's not really expanding anything, at least not right now. Um, I felt like Thousand Year Door really, from what I've seen, has really expanded Mario's world in general. Even the Mario and Luigi games, which
Yes,
we don't even know if they're dead, uh, they they pretty much expand upon a bunch of things that the mainline games don't touch on. So I feel like that's a reason why people go to the Mario RPGs to really get an expansive story and to get lore and world building. And I don't know. I just the generic locations, man. I don't know.
it's not as
It
bad as it
just
was in Sticker Star, but
yeah, it's
I
not.
would say
But
it's not hard to be better than Sticker Star or Color Splash. And getting into that, the Thousand Year Door took place in a different part. I
yeah,
believe, yeah, you started off in this area that's completely foreign to Mario games. It was called Roogport, which was like a rundown city. It had
yeah,
crime. It was totally different from anything you'd see in Mario. You had Shy Guys as bandits. So
that's
cool.
funny.
Graffiti everywhere. And there were
See,
so many
that's fun.
locations like that. I
That's
would say
fine.
even Color
Yeah.
Splash managed to do that. And the
Mm.
locations here aren't really the big issue. Yeah, a lot of them are generic, but my main issue with the game is just how generic the characters are. And finally, I think we should address this. Oh my gosh, the over reliance on paper jokes, self aware humor, having paper incorporated into everything. Oh my gosh, that makes me so frustrated. They need to stop doing that. For the next Paper Mario game, I do not want to see a single paper joke.
I don't think. I don't think the self. I think by self-aware humor, you're talking about the fact that they keep saying, "Ah, we're paper."
Yeah, paper
um.
thin, fold, paper
Yeah.
cuts, stuff like that.
Yeah, because like some meta humor here and there, not regarding paper, is fine. I think that fits with the franchise, but yeah, the that falls into line with the papercraft era that we're in right now. The fact that they're relying heavily on, oh, everything's paper mache and made out of paper and cardboard. We can make jokes on this.
Like
It
seriously, it's
takes
not a joke. It's not funny.
it takes away from the immersion of the story,
Could
which
you
again, I, I was saying before, it's supposed to be a pop-up storybook. It's not supposed to be as meta as possible.
exactly? And going into that,
Hmm.
it's fine if it's paper, but here's an example I'll use. SpongeBob takes place underwater, but a lot of the jokes you remember have nothing to do with it being underwater. Yeah, sure, there are the jokes sometimes that make fun of that, like, hey, if we're underwater, how can there be a fire? That's
Yeah,
funny, but if they did that constantly and just referenced that, it wouldn't be
yeah,
a funny show and no one would ever remember it.
exactly.
But it,
It's yeah. I don't know. I've It also doesn't help that this has been the only new release Nintendo has talked about, and it's just you and I just are not on board for this. We really are not.
and I'll get into one more thing. The bosses in this game, really, it's too much. Colored pencils, tape, this
Yeah,
game gets an award for something. The dumbest bosses possible in any Nintendo game.
I'll be honest. It kind of seems like they ran out of ideas because it seems like they've been running with the papercraft idea since Sticker Star. So it's kind of like, what do we do for this one? Oh, let's do origami, and maybe looks at his desk. Oh, colored pencils as a boss. Why not?
You know what it
You know
reminds me of?
what?
Did you see the Angry Video Game Nerd episode where he was reviewing Action 52?
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
There
it's a
was a
classic.
game, yeah, there was a game where you played, or there was safety pins as an enemy, and he
Yeah,
said, safety pins as an enemy in a video game. Hmm, what game character should I add? I only have 2 weeks to program the game. Obviously, Paper Mario had more, but safety pin, that'd be perfect. And it looks like Paper Mario took that literally. But
yeah. It, it's just really disappointing because I know these teams could be really creative. I don't know what's keeping them from you know really taking creative risks and liberties. I don't know if it's a Nintendo thing. I don't know if it's just the developers being stubborn and not wanting to change their ways. But I don't know. I really don't know.
but let's go over this overall and then give our final opinions on the game. Overall, it's very similar to Color Splash in these ways. I'm not saying the gameplay will be similar because it does look kind of different. It's still completely in the other direction of what fans wanted. It's not a return to form, but
Hmm.
this is what it has in common with Color Splash. Great game, or great, or excuse me, game has interesting story. Well, actually, Color Splash didn't have that, but the great music and graphics. Dialogue would probably be good if it wasn't for all the paper jokes, but I'm willing to give it a shot. So overall, presentation is good, really good. But the gameplay it looks terrible so far, and I'm sorry to say this, but I am not on board with this, and I really don't get it. Something about this game is just super weird, and I'll tell you what it is. Nintendo has done great listening and fan feedback. We went over this with examples like Super Mario Odyssey, Luigi's Mansion 3, even games like Super Mario Party, which admittedly weren't that good. At
Hmm.
least they were attempting to do what the fans wanted, and correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't really the only problem with that game the lack of boards
It
and
was the
just
lack. It was the lack
how
of
small they
boards.
were?
Yeah, it was. They were way too small, and there was only like four boards. So, really, if they make a sequel, they don't have much to do to improve upon that. Obviously, there's mechanics that I would like to return, but that's a discussion for another day.
So it set the groundwork for a good Mario Party game.
Yeah, exactly.
But overall, I think it's pretty obvious how we feel about the game. I personally won't be getting the game, and I don't know where you stand.
Yeah. Uh, I won't be buying the game. I think that's part of the reason why we're making this discussion because I don't even think we want to do a review of this game. I don't know if I want to dish out $60 for a mediocre experience. Um,
I mean, a lot of times you'll be able to tell if something's for you or something's not for you. Like if you don't like
yeah.
racing games, Mario Kart's definitely not going to be for you.
Hmm.
But
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. If some I'm open to the game making a full 180, but I don't know. I just have a feeling that it's just going to be dragged under the rug. I also have seen that it hasn't really been garnering as much hype as I thought it would online. And part of that is a little bit of Nintendo's fault. And part of that, I think, is also because people are kind of fatigued of waiting for a Paper Mario that they want, you know, which is a little
Exactly.
sad.
And I think
Uh,
by now,
yeah.
I understood why they did the experimental stuff before. People gave Sticker
Mhm,
Star a chance, didn't work out. Color Splash, I don't understand why they did that. That didn't work out either. They had the
mhm.
opportunity to make a return to form, and they know fans are listening. That if they didn't know, they wouldn't highlight the so-called partners in the game. But I
Right.
think it's about time for them to take the plunge, stop taking or baby steps, stop taking steps in the right direction, and just they should have taken the plunge and just made a Paper Mario game that the fans have been screaming for. They did it
Yeah,
with 3D
and
Mario. They did it
they
with
can
Luigi's
do it.
Mansion. They could
Yeah.
totally do it. But for some
I think
reason, they're just so stubborn about it that supporting this game isn't something I feel comfortable doing. I don't like this direction the series is going. And this is another point, but the future of Mario RPGs is unknown at this point. This would have been the perfect opportunity to bring back Paper Mario as a Mario RPG, considering Alpha
yeah.
Dream gone, or I think it's defunct now. We don't know
Well,
the
we
future of
don't know
Mario and
yet.
Luigi. Yeah, we don't know the
Yeah.
future of that. I gotta say, Mario and Luigi, even the worst game in that series, Paper Jam, was still a lot of fun to play. It was just a little
Yeah,
bit generic. But
they're
here,
consistently great. Yeah.
it's so the game design is just so messed up. You don't
It
know if it's an
seems
RPG or it's a
mhm.
platformer. They call it action adventure, but that's not
it
what it
se-
is.
it kind of seems to me that Nintendo's been kind of straying Mario away from RPGs for a while now. In terms of Paper Mario and in terms of how often we get a new Mario and Luigi game. I mean, we haven't gotten a new one in a few years, and I think we know why now. But the remakes didn't really help that much. They're
Yeah,
not really spotlighted that much, which I don't know if that's a Miyamoto thing. I don't know if that's a Nintendo thing. Um, but I don't know. It's just very strange. But yeah, overall, won't be picking this up. I'm just hoping that we get a direct this month and we get some news that I'll actually be looking forward to because if this is what Nintendo has for the rest of the year, then things are not looking good for 2020.
what we got
Um,
Bakugan to look forward to.
oh yeah, definitely. Can't wait for that.
Look, I'm sure it would have been fun. That was just not the place to reveal it. But going
It
on to the direct
yeah.
thing, some
hmm
SKUs were put in the GameStop system, and that might mean a direct is coming. So stay
It
tuned
could
because on
be.
July 20th, there might be a direct. I can't say that there will be, but there is a
Yes.
possibility because after Paper Mario, Nintendo doesn't have any first party games releasing in the or foreseeable future, but they did
Yeah.
announce they had 2020 games still.
I what are they going to announce? I feel like it's just going to be ports, like Pikmin 3 ports, the Mario remasters, and I think that's it. I don't think it's anything big, but surprise me, Nintendo. I don't know. We'll see. I guess we can discuss that another time, though, especially since we're almost there to the 20th, anyways.
Yeah, exactly. But anyways, this about folds up the conversation. Haha,
Ugh,
paper jokes. I'm the meat,
yikes. And I'm Ty the guy.
and keep calm and dada on.